Black and gold fans, college football fans, welcome back and welcome into today's episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold Vlog, where I examine, discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football across the entire college football landscape, but with a very special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome back, guys. I am your host, Blair Parks. Holla at you, boy. It's great to be back with you. Today's episode, this is my Week 5 review and recap episode, kind of going back over everything that happened throughout the landscape during Week 5 and what a Week 5 it was. Now, if you recall, I coined weeks 4 through 7 as our 4-course meal because it was going to finally provide us with a little bit of separation and clarity on who the legit contenders are and who are the pretenders when it comes down to conference championships and the college football playoff. So week 5 was our second course, our soup or salad. And ooh, the super salad was mighty tasty for at least some of us, depending on how our teams did on the gridiron. For others, it definitely left a bad taste in our mouths. Week 5, both of our beloved black and gold squads, Missouri and Iowa, were at home. They both hosted opponents that were within the AP top 5. Number 4, Michigan handled our Iowa Hawkeyes at Kinnick, 27-14. It was maybe a little bit closer on the scoreboard. Iowa never really challenged Michigan. I mean, maybe made them sweat just a little bit, maybe just a single bead of sweat midway through the fourth quarter, but overall, not really pushed or challenged much by Iowa. I mean, Iowa's offensive struggles continue. I mean, I know right now what a lot of people are saying or thinking that, Iowa offensively couldn't score in a morgue. I know that sounds very morbid of me to say. And now that I just said it, I kind of regret saying that because I am not going to confirm or deny at this time whether I agree or disagree with that statement. I mean, it is very morbid. And wow, now I regret saying it. I mean, what the hell is wrong with me? I mean, I'm sure my mother is really proud of me at this moment after making that statement. But Missouri really put the fear and a true scare into number 1 Georgia on Saturday night. I mean, they ended up falling 26-22, but Georgia needed the fourth quarter to come back. I mean, at the half, Missouri was up at halftime, and if they just would have maybe put the ball in the end zone a couple more times, they probably do shock the college football world by upending number 1 Georgia, who looked like they had a lot of kink in that armor. I mean, in a lot of ways, Missouri should have won. They have their chance, but a great showing by the Missouri Tigers, especially a week removed from that meltdown late in the game at Auburn, a game that Missouri should have brought home as a victory, but unfortunately, that's the way the football bounces. It hardly ever bounces up and down like a basketball. It goes sideways, diagonal ways, anyways. So a great showing, though, for Missouri on national television against number 1 Georgia. I mean, that close. And I'll definitely get to these games a little bit more later this episode. If you want, feel free to check out my most recent episode. I did do an instant reaction and recap to the Iowa-Michigan game. Please check it out. And speaking of that, I have to give much love and respect and show my gratitude, as I always do. Without you, the Black and Gold family, and all of you college football fans alike, none of this would be possible here on the channel. Thank you for allowing me to be with you, taking some time, your support, allowing me, just a regular guy, who's sharing his love and passion of college football with you. But my instant reaction and recap episode was just so well received and responded to, the comments. And I have to give specifically a lot of love and thanks to all you Michigan fans. I mean, the Michigan fans came out in droves to view the episode and comment, and overwhelmingly had excellent, very gracious, kind words to say. So thank you, all of you Michigan fans, for viewing, for commenting, all of you Iowa fans as well, and all of you college football fans. So please feel free to check that out. It was my most successful episode to date. Over 5,600 views, just under 200 likes, 80 comments, and the channel picked up about 36 subscribers from one episode. So thank you all for what you do. But let's continue to keep the momentum going. So I ask you all to click the subscribe button, like, share, comment, rate, do all of the above. We are this close to reaching the second milestone that I set for the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. That is to get 100 subscribers. We are right there, folks. We are just about to stretch across the finish line. Before I came on, I did a last-minute check, and here we are sitting at 98 subscribers. Hurry and try to be the 100th to reach the second milestone here on the channel. So today's rundown, as per normal now on my review and recap episodes following the weekend, I have 4 segments coming at you. The first one will be my buy, sell, or hold segment based on what happened in week 5. Some hot takes for you. And I'll let you know, I guess I say a statement, then let you know if I buy, sell, or hold it. Kind of play the stock market, so to speak. After that will be one of my favorite segments, the good, the bad, and the ugly from week 5. Then that'll be followed by my post-week 5 team power rankings. Not the AP rankings, but based on what I see, I'll give you my top 10 plus 2 as far as who I believe are the top teams in the nation. And then my final segment, as always, will be my 3 cheers from week 5, basically giving some props, respect, a little attention to maybe some stories that are under the radar that maybe aren't noticed easily from what happened week 5. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get it. I'm ready. So as always, please like, share, subscribe, comment. I always encourage and welcome your participation. Any statements, any comments, feel free, fire away. Let's just keep it adult-like. That's all I ask. All right, so let's go ahead and move into today's first segment. That is buy, sell, or trade. Let's wait for the opening bell. The stock market now officially is open. It's time for me to try my luck at college football stocks of buy, sell, or hold. All right, so let's go ahead and get to my first hot take following week 2. Kansas remains undefeated. They finally broke into the AP top 25 rankings. They took care of a game Iowa State team at home in Lawrence. And Oklahoma lost at TCU big time. The Horned Frogs rolled the Sooners. But the big story from that is Oklahoma quarterback Dillon Gabriel left early after a nasty hit while trying to slide. I definitely don't think it was a dirty play. Immediately, the defender, you could tell, was very shook up by it. But Oklahoma now sits 0-2 in Big 12 conference play, while Kansas is 2-0 in the Big 12 conference play. So here is my first hot take. Kansas will place higher in the Big 12 standings at season's end than Oklahoma. I am going to buy that statement. I am totally on board with this Kansas team. They are trending in the right direction, while Oklahoma is trending in the opposite direction. And a huge game this weekend coming up, the Red River rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma. The loser of that game, I believe, is pretty much already eliminated from the possibility of the Big 12 conference title. They just will be. So that's my first take. Secondly, and this is something I'll talk more about later this episode as well, over on Sunday, kind of a big time surprise. I was surprised but not shocked by it, but Wisconsin did fire Coach Paul Chryst, who had a 70%, actually was over 70% winning percentage at Wisconsin. Excuse me, got a little tongue-tied there for a second. So kind of in a surprise move, they fire and terminate Paul Chryst here mid-season. So now within the Big Ten West, we have two programs that are on the market now for a new coach, Wisconsin and Nebraska. And by the way, I'll comment later. I think this is going to have huge ripple effects across the Big Ten West, especially with us Hawkeye fans in our program, and the Northwestern program as well and their fans. But here's my hot take concerning Wisconsin and Nebraska. Currently, Wisconsin is a better, more attractive, more of an upside location and landing spot for a new coach than Nebraska. Surprisingly, I'm going to sell that. And here's why. If you look at the team's histories and what they currently have going for them, Wisconsin does have a tradition and a culture of winning, but the last few years that has started to slowly crumble. And I think because the main reason is Mr. Wisconsin football, Barry Alvarez, no longer is associated with the school. He was their legendary coach, former Iowa legendary coach Hayden Fry assistant. Just got to throw it out there for Coach Fry. You know, he's always with us. But then he was their athletic director. He is no longer with Wisconsin. He has retired. I'm sure they still do consult with him, though. But moving forward, I think they are a little bit lost now in the wilderness without the leadership of Barry Alvarez. And plus, I look at the facilities. Nebraska has every single bell and whistle you possibly could want, and a very fanatical, rabid, very enthusiastic fan base, one of the best fan bases in college football. I mean, look at the sellout streak currently happening at Memorial Stadium there in Lincoln on football Saturdays and Friday nights. I know both of them are a little bit off or a little bit weak regions for recruiting. I think Wisconsin has the upper hand there because the Chicago suburbs and Chicago City is right there. But I still think Nebraska moving forward has a better option, a better chance to get back to that success level. I just do. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you disagree with me. Like, share, comment, let me know. But that's my second hot take, and I'm going to sell that. I'm going to sell. I think Nebraska is a better location right now and moving forward for a new coach. My third hot take post Week 5 is following their upset win over number 7 Kentucky. Well, Ole Miss was aided by 3 very untimely consecutive turnovers by the Wildcats. Number 9 Ole Miss is the second best team in the SEC West and will be Alabama's main challenger. I'm going to hold that for now. I mean, that could possibly come to fruition, but I want to see over the next couple weeks what plays out. And the reason why I've got to hold, because of my guy, quarterback Will Rogers, and what Mississippi State brings to the table. They thumped Texas A&M over the weekend. A very, very impressive victory for the Bulldogs. Arkansas comes to Starkville now this upcoming week. And if Mississippi State can win those 2 games back-to-back, which I definitely think they can, then I believe they might be Alabama's biggest challenger to hoist the SEC West crown. But Ole Miss, absolutely, that was a big victory at home in the Grove there in Oxford. But I think a lot of it came down to just the untimely turnovers, the sloppiness in the fourth quarter by Kentucky, which is not very characteristic of Kentucky either. It's just not. So we'll see how that plays out in the SEC West. Number 4, my fourth hot take, Week 5, number 4 Michigan, who looked very impressive against the Hawkeyes over the weekend. Number 4 Michigan will not defeat number 3 Ohio State for consecutive seasons during this year's matchup, the annual edition of The Game between Michigan and Ohio State. I gotta hold that, guys, because this Michigan squad looks so balanced. I mean, they out-Iowa'd Iowa and then some. Blah, blah, blah. During Week 5's big matchup there in Kinnick Stadium, kind of put to rest the Kinnick mystique and aura of the place where top 5 teams go to die. That did not happen. And J.J. McCarthy is still a little bit wet behind the ears, but he is making great decisions. He still does occasionally miss the deep ball, but his composure, and you can tell watching him in the huddle, on the sidelines, the guy is an absolute leader. He's only going to get better. That's what's scary. I mean, the Michigan rush attack, their defense, they really haven't lost much as far as their pass rush. I know, granted, against an Iowa offensive line that has been so inconsistent. So it's not all Spencer Petras, folks, why the Iowa offense is struggling. Look at the O-line. Watch that game, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But, wow, they look physical. They look physical on both sides of the ball. The O-line pushed around the Iowa defense, which came into the game as the number 1 scoring defense in the nation. And last year, that's what it was. Michigan out-physicaled Ohio State. I know their defense is looking a little bit better when they hired former Oklahoma State stud DC Jim Knowles, but right now, Michigan looks the part, guys. All right, so I'm going to hold that. And I absolutely think both teams, Ohio State and Michigan, are going to be undefeated when they meet up in this year's edition of The Game, Thanksgiving weekend. And I think the loser of that game with 1 loss, I think if other teams lose ahead of them, I think the Big Ten could very easily get 2 teams in the college football playoff. The loser of that game, and if the winner defeats the Big Ten West champion, I think we could have 2 teams in the playoff from the Big Ten. Very easily could happen. Number 5, my 5th hot take, from the Pac-12, USC, after they defeated Arizona State soundly 42-25. USC is a legitimate college football playoff contender. I've got to buy this one, folks. I still think the defense could be a little suspect for the Trojans, but all they have to do is keep winning. I mean, they're going to have to face off with Utah or Oregon soon, teams that are more physical than they are. But if teams ahead of them keep losing, and if they just win, like Al Davis said, just win, baby. If USC just wins out, they're going to find themselves in the playoff, folks. They are. Now, I don't think they can compete physically with the upper echelon teams, Alabama, Michigan, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. I don't think they're ready for that yet, but it doesn't matter. You win your games, and you're there as an undefeated team or maybe 1 loss, the Pac-12 champion, you're probably going to get in. And we've seen inferior teams reach the playoff in years past. Washington when they were there, Michigan State, Notre Dame before, teams that are there because they just took care of their own business. So USC is absolutely legitimate. And Arizona State gave them a good challenge, but they couldn't fork. Actually, it's like this. I think it's the fork. They couldn't fork the men of Troy. So fork them, fork you, fork us. So USC, I'm buying that. They are a college football playoff contender. And my final hot take, I always save one for our black and golds, is following Week 4's botched field goal at Auburn as time expired, Harrison Mevis is still the best kicker in the country. I am absolutely buying that. You talk about a great comeback game. I mean, a bounce-back game, which is what Harrison Mevis, the thicker kicker, needed. He had that and then some against number 1 Georgia during Week 5. The guy was 5 of 5 with field goal attempts with a long of from 56 yards. The guy still is Missouri's best weapon. He still will win them a game or two this year, but I think people will always revert back to not looking past the game that maybe he lost for them, which is not fair to put only on him. They had other chances throughout the game and overtime to win, but Harrison Mevis still is the best kicker in the nation, guys. He proved it Saturday. If they just would have found the end zone one more time, Missouri wins that game really because of the efforts of their defense, but really Harrison Mevis coming through as he's proven to us time and time again, just not 2 weeks ago at Auburn. So Harrison Mevis, welcome back. Keep your head high. Keep your calorie intake high as well. Keep doing what you're doing. You're fine. So that wraps up this week's segment of Buy, Sell, or Hold post Week 5. And now that brings us to the favorite segment of some folks. What? That's right. Let it play. That's right. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The ugly, U-G-L-Y, you ain't got no alibi, from Week 5. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up, the first is the good. Things that have happened up to Week 5 and during Week 5. The good, the Big 12 conference race. Who saw this coming? This is why we love this sport, the parity of it. And there's been so much parity this season throughout the entire landscape. How could you not want this, especially after last season when that was the biggest parity year that I can ever remember in my lifetime? But right now, the unusual suspects are on top of the Big 12. I know it's still early, and this will fix itself because of the round robin. I love that in the Big 12 that every team plays everybody else. I love that, really giving you a true champion. Right now, at the top of the Big 12 standings is Kansas, which is one of, if not the story of this early college football season. Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, and TCU. They are on top of the Big 12 standings. Baylor has only one conference loss. They're still kind of hanging around. But Texas, they have one conference loss. Oklahoma, as I mentioned, already has two. Those two teams meet up this weekend, as I stated. So I think Texas and Oklahoma are ultimately going to be MIA. I mean, if Oklahoma loses, they're absolutely out of the race. And I think if Texas loses, I think they're pretty much going to be behind the 8 ball as well. Whoever loses the Red River rivalry this weekend. But wow, that is great. That is so good. It's great for college football to have this. It is. This is what we've been wanting. We're tired of seeing the same old movie over and over again. Even though we buy tickets because we love it, we're tired of seeing the same ending. This is absolutely what's wanted and needed. So hallelujah for that. So that's the good. Now the bad from Week 5, and it's something that I thought and I predicted last season it was going to be the most historic coaching carousel we would see, but that's right. Post Week 5, I already kind of brought it up and referred to it. That's right. That's it with the coaching carousel. Like the sands through the hourglass, so are the days of the coaching carousel. It's already spinning out of control here this season after Week 5. Through Week 5, we've already seen 5 Power 5 coaches released, terminated, and fired from their posts. First was Scott Frost at Nebraska. Then came Herm Edwards at Arizona State. Then Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. Carl Durrell at Colorado. And then, like I said, Sunday, Wisconsin coach Paul Chryst. Now, most of those cats if you watch my 2022 college football season bold predictions, I predicted those cats would be terminated, whether it be at season's end or during the season. I nailed most of those guys. I nailed Herm Edwards, Jeff Collins, Carl Durrell. Never saw Paul Chryst coming. I mean, surprised but not shocked. And I did say Scott Frost would win enough games to be retained, like 6 or 7, so I did miss that one already. But next up, very soon, will be Brian Harsin at Auburn. He's on life support. They're just keeping him around for final goodbyes to the opportune moment. And I think that could come at the end of week 6 because Auburn travels to Georgia, who fell to number 2. So I think they're going to have to come out and atone for their lackluster performance at Missouri. So I definitely expect next Sunday we're going to see Brian Harsin relieved of his coaching duties at Auburn as well. But it goes to say that no program or coach is safe right now. I mean, you still need to hide the women and children and head for high ground. I mean, if you look 10 years ago, this never would have happened. You need to trust the process. I mean, if you go back and ask some of these legendary coaches who are past or still around, they still would tell you this is unheard of. All right? I mean, look at what Coach Stoops has done there at Kentucky. His first 2 years were losing seasons, but after that they gave him an extension knowing that, hey, we are going to get there. It's like coaches nowadays just aren't given ample opportunity because of the business of it. And now we live in an environment and a culture of, hey, we need gratification right away. Nobody wants to put time and effort into anything. And it's really getting to be out of control. I think we have to pump the brakes on this. We just do, guys. It's getting to be too much. But look out, the coaching carousel may come to a town near you very soon, so be mindful of it. That is the bad. And now the ugly from week 5, and I got to put my own peeps under the microscope. The Big Ten West Division, which currently only has 4 teams with a winning record, and the ACC Coastal Division, which only has 3 teams with a winning record, they are both equally ugly. I mean, these divisions are just awful, guys. They're really an embarrassment, and I can't say which one is worse because it really is a toss-up. I mean, who is truly good or will or wants to win these divisions? I think each division has one team that has proven a little bit of separation. I think Minnesota still is the best team in the Big Ten West, and I think Pitt is the best team in the ACC Coastal, but not by much. I mean, not like they're ahead by leaps and bounds. I don't know who's going to win these divisions, guys. It's wide open. It's really hard to say. I mean, very, very little clearance between the rest of the pack. What's our clearance? Gotta love Airplane. Maybe in the Big Ten West, Purdue or Illinois, who's now the coach killers. I mean, Purdue went to Minnesota and won week 5. Illinois went to Madison, Wisconsin and beat down Wisconsin 34-10, which led to Paul Chryst firing Coach Brett Bielema, kind of a homecoming there for current Illinois head coach to come home to Wisconsin and take down his old mates, his old program. Or maybe in the ACC Coastal, maybe Duke or North Carolina, who currently are 4-1. Maybe one of those 2 basketball schools want to rise up and take the crown. I don't know. It's a crapshoot. It just is. I don't know who's going to win. And I thought, okay, how can I maybe determine which division's worse? So I looked at head-to-head matchups. And in the non-conference play this year, there were 2 matchups, but it was an equal split. I mean, Duke traveled to Evanston and handled Northwestern. I mean, really throttled them. But even in more embarrassing fashion, Virginia, UVA, traveled to Champaign, and Illinois absolutely dominated those guys. So I can't tell based on that who's the best division. I can't, because it's 50-50 split. I don't know. And I can't say who I really believe is best. I can't. Or I should say better. Using best in describing these two divisions is improper English. It just is. So that's the ugly post week 5. I mean, those two divisions just continue to be awful and are underperforming, but somebody's got to win them. Somebody has to come out on top. The cream will rise to the top, theoretically. So we'll have to wait and see. But so that's my good, the bad, and the ugly post week 5. Like, share, rate, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Now let's move into my team power rankings, my top 10 plus 2 post week 5. Let me take a quick little swig of water here. We are doing good on time. Trying to keep it within under 45 minutes for you guys. And after week 5, we have 2 new arrivals, 2 teams that are making their initial appearances on my team power rankings. Now, I didn't have one of these last week. I just wasn't feeling up to doing a week 4 review and recap. I was really busy last week with the family and other responsibilities. Hey, this is not my job, guys. Like I said, I am not in this for monetary purposes. This is just a hobby for me. I have a legitimate day job. I don't do any dress rehearsals. I don't do any edits. I don't do any retakes. I just, boom, start, record, and upload, send. That's it. Because if I did those things, it would be a job. And I don't want another job, guys. So 2 new arrivals, and we do have a little bit of movement within my team power rankings. Number 1, up 2 spots, I've got the Alabama Crimson Tide, who really, really impressed at Arkansas after even losing Heisman contender quarterback, oh my gosh, Bryce Young. Wow, sorry, my old age here. So Bryce Young went down with a shoulder injury. He is listed as day-to-day, but they still had no problems running all over Arkansas, whose defense is big-time suspect. So I have them moving up 2. At number 2, I've got Ohio State staying where they were. I mean, they're starting to round out into form, but I think they still need to play some real legitimate competition. Penn State, Maryland, Michigan will be coming around soon. Number 3, down 2 spots, I have Georgia. After almost getting knocked off in Columbia over the weekend by Missouri, I have them down 2 spots. I mean, I think it was a little bit of both. People asked me, Blair, which one was it? Was it Missouri coming out so inspired, something to prove, a chip on their shoulder? Or was it Georgia simply thinking, hey, we show up, we go through the motions, we're going to get out of here with an easy victory, uninspired, a look ahead? Potentially. I think it was both. But I've got Georgia down 2 spots to number 3. Number 4, staying there. I didn't quite see enough to move them up to 3, but they're right there. I've got the Michigan Wolverines after their performance over Iowa at Kinnick. Number 5, up 1 spot, I've got the Clemson Tigers, who have basically put together back-to-back impressive wins, both at one on the road, one at home. 2 weeks ago, took care of a ranked Wake Forest team in Winston-Salem in overtime. And over the weekend, the game of the year in the ACC with ACC championship ramifications and college football playoff ramifications. Clemson took care of a very good NC State team at Clemson. I have them up 1. Number 6, down 1 spot, I have the Tennessee Volunteers. Not really because of anything they did. They had the off weekend. I'm still very high on this Tennessee team. I am. Number 7, up 1 spot, I have the USC Trojans. They're still right there biding their time. I need to see them play a team that can match them maybe halfway offensively, but on the defensive end, a physical team. Remember, 2 weeks ago, they barely escaped Corvallis against Oregon State. I think, Oregon State threw 5 interceptions. So they don't do that. Maybe USC loses, but they're right there just taking care of their business. Down one spot right behind them, fellow Pac-12 team Utah. Utah is really still looking like they're coming into form, guys. A lot of people wrote them off after their opening week 1 loss at the Swamp against Florida. They are right there, guys. Don't sleep on Utah. Number 9, making their initial appearance on my team power rankings, is the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Big time win over the weekend at Baylor. I think this team and Spencer Sanders, their quarterback, they look really good as advertised. And their defense really hasn't skipped the beat after losing defensive coordinator Jim Knowles in the offseason to Ohio State. I think the Pokes are the real deal. Number 10, also making their initial appearance, is the Ole Miss Rebels after their upset win over number 7 and undefeated at the time Kentucky. Lane Kiffin, the Lane train, is definitely moving down the tracks, looking real good. Number 11, they took care of business in a monsoon, a lot of rain and wind from Hurricane Ian, and my thoughts and prayers to everybody in the Sunshine State who is recovering and along the Carolinas and the Gulf Coast from Hurricane Ian. My thoughts, prayers are with you. I'm sending you nothing but good vibes and good juju. Hopefully everybody is as well as they can be and recovery is quick and easy. Penn State took care of Northwestern. I believe it was 17-7. So not in convincing style, but I think a lot of it was due to the elements. So I have them staying at number 11 where they were 2 weeks ago. And also staying at number 12. Even though they lost, I still think if Clemson trips up a couple times, they're going to be right there. I don't see them losing another game. I've got number 12, NC State, the Wolfpack. Still a very good team. With sitting there with 1 loss, take care of their business, and they might be right there. So let me know what you think. That's my top 10 plus 2 as far as team power rankings post week 5. Comment, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Would highly appreciate it. So now my last segment for this episode post week 5 is my 3 cheers from week 5. These are stories, performances by players, coaches, position units, fans, anything, communities that really impressed me during week 5 that I think we need to give a little bit of attention to because people know about them, but not many. They're just not getting the credibility or the attention that they deserve to get. So my first cheer of the week from week 5 is to 2 states. Normally I have 1, but I've got a duo this week. I've got the Magnolia State, Mississippi, and the Sunflower State, Kansas. After wins by all 4 of their Division I squads, all find themselves ranked in this week's AP Top 25 poll. Number 9, Ole Miss leads the way. Number 19, Kansas is next. Number 20, Kansas State, who had a good win at home against Texas Tech, a team that did beat Texas a couple weeks ago. And number 23, Mississippi State, who took care of A&M, finally putting the final nail in A&M's coffin. Sorry, Aggie fans. I've just got issue with Jimbo Fisher. I just do. So congrats to the teams, fans, and programs of the Magnolia and Sunflower States. For that, you will get my first for week 5. Next, my next cheer goes to another duo, the Sun Belt Conference duo, the Fun Belt. That's right. Unless you haven't been paying attention, which some of you have, but I've got to bring it to your attention because my job is to provide you with some entertainment, which I hope I do, a little bit of opinion, a lot of facts, but also to keep you informed. And right now in the Sun Belt, we have two teams that sit there undefeated. One is 5-0 and one is 4-0 after wins in week 5. And the nice thing about this, why this is important, that these are the only remaining undefeated teams at the non-Power 5 level and ranks for the non-Power 5 conferences. Coastal Carolina with quarterback Mullet McCall, love it, and coach Jamie Chadwell, who I think will finally move on to one of these Power 5 coaching positions in the offseason. I think he definitely will. They sit there at 5-0, and James Madison, if not for Kansas, the Dukes of James Madison might be the #1 story early in this college football season. If you recall, this is James Madison's first year at the FBS Division I level. They made the transition in the offseason, when in the past, teams that have done that have scheduled that. Like, hey, 3, 4, 5 years, we're going to go up a notch in Division I. They did it on a whim to join the Sun Belt Conference. And here they are, 4-0. It is so impressive what they've done. And they have good wins opening week over Middle Tennessee State from the American Athletic, who beat down and embarrassed Miami in Coral Gables a couple weeks ago, and the darlings of the non-Power 5 most of this year, Appalachian State. They beat them in Boone at their house, and Appalachian State took down mighty Texas A&M at home as a top 10 team in College Station. So props, much love to the Sun Belt duo. Keep it up. Keep rolling, because these two teams hopefully will meet. They're on a collision course. I believe they meet up the last week of the regular season, so that could potentially be huge rewards. Ultimately playing for all the big prizes as well. To the winner of that game could go the spoils of the non-Power 5. So for you, for the Sun Belt duo of James Madison, Coastal Carolina, this one's for you. There we go. And now my final cheers from week 5 deals with home field advantage and home field attendance, okay? And we saw big time turnouts this weekend at places that sellouts or big time crowds have kind of been here and there, a little hit and miss. But the crowds definitely, absolutely rose to the occasion to help their home teams either get over the hump in the hurdle or at least be with them until the very end, making it more possible. My first goes to Kansas. Playing Iowa State. It was a sellout over the weekend, but actually there's been consecutive sellouts there in Lawrence. It's the first consecutive sellouts for a Kansas football game since the 2009 season. And this year, those sellouts have been against Duke 2 weeks ago, and then last week against aforementioned Iowa State. So Kansas fans, thank you for coming out. Your team appreciates it. You're helping them maintain this success. Next is one of our black and golds, Missouri. Most of this week leading up to #1 Georgia, ticket sales were a little bit slow, but at kickoff it was announced as a sellout. The Missouri fans, they packed the house and almost witnessed history with Missouri knocking off the #1 team in the nation. So that's a great effort. Keep it up, Missouri fans and faithful. You were right there. That shows what you can do for your team. And I've said this before. Ask not what the black and golds can do for you, but what you can do for your black and golds, Missouri and Iowa. So great job. Keep that up, Missouri fans. And next, even though it wasn't a sellout, not really even near a sellout, but definitely trending in the right direction, UCLA All right, now here's the situation. You play in the Rose Bowl. It seats more than 100,000 people. But Friday night, they hosted ranked and undefeated Washington came to town. And it was not anywhere near a sellout, but it was their largest crowd of the season. So the fans did come out to help UCLA take down a high-ranked opponent, and they did. And I get it, though. I mean, it's a Friday night in the City of Angels. There's lots of things to do, but also the Rose Bowl is not anywhere near UCLA's campus. It's tough for students to get there. It's not exactly the easiest place to tailgate, but still, UCLA Bruins fans, you're making strides in the right direction, and now you find yourselves ranked in this week's AP poll. So continue to come out, support the Bruins. Every little bit helps, and it's much appreciated. So for home field advantage and attendance, you guys get my final for week 5. So thank you very much. That is today's episode. It concludes my week 5 review and recap episode here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Thank you for your time, your attention, your support, and for everything you do. Please, let's reach that milestone of 100 subscribers. Please subscribe, share with all of your college football friends, your colleagues, your family members. Let them know about the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Let's keep the momentum going. Like, share, subscribe, rate, comment. Any feedback and comments are always welcomed and encouraged. And be looking for my week 6 preview and picks episode that should be coming out later this week, either Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon. So be on the lookout for that here on the channel. Until then, thank you for everything that you do. Best of luck to you as I always sign off. Peace, progress, prosperity, and I'll see you later this week. And thank you for joining me on today's episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.